World of YouTube, terrible site here. If I'm working this thing on. Jesus. Terrible site here, World of YouTube. Decades later, the search of Taj Narbonne grows stronger. I am kind of disappointed that I did not get to help with any type of searching. I would have loved to have been contacted and, volunteered my time, but supposedly a search had happened last year, and, but they're saying this case grows stronger. But with the new details in this case, I don't know how. And I definitely want to go over this article because I have been over multiple articles, right? And I've never read anything, of course, like this. I know one thing for sure that, the body has not been found yet. And April 16th, 2023. I didn't even hear nothing about this. Can listen to an article of this. I guess I haven't listened to that yet, but there he is. And they have actually a new picture up of him. And as you can see here, oh, damn, there answers my question. And as you can see on the pants that I've been talking about, now I goofed up and I did forget. Supposedly, Taj went missing. Now, this is what makes the case ridiculous. Because the shoes that he wore were not taken. And in this article, and I forgot all about it, but it does, I still say it doesn't disclose my thoughts, theories, ideas. And right there answers my question. I've been talking about it and about a belt buckle. And as you can see here in the pants, Mr. Taj Narbonne has a belt on. Answers my question. I know for a lot of kids back in my time, I know for a fact, I wore a belt buckle. Only because of the simple fact my father used to make leather belts. And when my father made a belt and threw a belt buckle, my older brother, before he turned into a complete, drug-using idiot, when I was a kid, he gave me a motorcycle belt buckle. And he worked at a factory or a little shop that used to put chrome on metal and shine it up and look friggin' nice, of course. And I got one of them belt buckles. And fortunately, I don't still have it, but it was a motorcycle, too. I remember it clear as day, even how it looks like. But this answers my question, and I'm still hoping that Taj's aunt, when I was contacting, and she found my videos on this. I hope nothing happened to her. I hope COVID didn't get her. I'm hoping she just moved to another state maybe, but the number I have now belongs to someone else, and it's like, damn. I wanted to ask her a question, but I guess, shoot, this picture reveals it. I did take a screenshot, and I do want to look at that more, but... So, here we have a kid, right, that's scared of the dark, but left it, supposedly during the wee hours of the morning, leaving a note. And I'll tell you, the note to me don't sound like it does not sound like this kid would have wrote it. I'm not gonna say it fully correctly, but from what I remember, and I hope I get it right, but it says, "I don't want to live here no more. I'm gonna do what I want," and it's just in the nature of this kid, it didn't sound like him. Because when you got kids that have a little bit of fear setting into them, or just you could tell this kid is a very natured, humbled soul. And I've seen this kid somewhere in Leominster when I used to go out there and visit my father's friends. They used to live at 133 Mechanic Street, which now is a salon. But somewhere I've crossed this kid's path, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't personally know him, but it's like, right, there was say, somewhere I've just seen him, maybe briefly talked to him, and it's just one of them things that, I wish I would have just, kept my eye. But when when I moved then to Leominster, and it was pretty much a year later in 1982, I remember my father went out shopping. All me and the kids were all bringing in the groceries. I pull out the milk out of a bag, and right there in the carton, I seen that face, and oh, jeez. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm reading it, and I'm like, wow, I seen this kid. And I did go speak to Detective Arbachon, and, and sucks I couldn't give him no information, because I just wanted to do my own little, in my respect, videos for this person. And like I say, I'm probably just going to have to go do my own searching, which I have that video up. If anybody hasn't seen it yet, check it out. I'm live at it's a live video. It's over there off of Union Street, Lincoln Woods, where I believe Taj is buried. Because what I believe happened is a hole was pre-dug. But then again, at the end of Christine Street, that video I went over there, hey, don't get me wrong, he could be over there well a fact for two, because for one, that's the thing. But the question is over there, how much water was in that area at the time of 1981, excuse me. And right, the fact that if it was a swampy area back then, Clarence Dean would have, had muddy shoes. It was raining, it was cold, and right. But in this article that I did not read, and that's why I'm doing this, and that's why I've done it throughout time. If there's an article, and I've learned, and I need to document it. Because like I say, there's been articles in the past that I've had, and they disappeared, literally. And then I got people coming at me, you don't know what you're talking about, blah, 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 blah. And it ain't me. I never make stuff up. I give thoughts, theories, ideas, make this known once again. And I'm just going over articles that I read. And if I remember something, I put it in my videos. And I've learned, that I gotta start documenting, because other documentaries or articles that have disappeared, oh man, pees me off. And I mean very badly, because, yeah, I got people coming at me, and then them were the articles and the videos that I did, right? That, I did not cover the article. So it's like, oh, jeez. What do you do? Well, this is what you do. You get the screen thing, video thing like this, and you scroll. But one, so foster child, he'd been living with family friends as a foster child since December 1980, due to not getting along with stepfather Clarence Dean. Father dropped him off at his family home so they could work on the issues. This is one of the biggest mistakes. The grandfather regrets it. The grandmother regrets it. But he went over to their house and told them that he didn't want to stay there. And everybody, not to sound rude, but everybody denied his request. And then this happened. There's Detective Patrick Aubuchon, Fallbrook. Church members and other new ties. Remember, a caring kind and vanished rightfully. So want answers, right? Everybody wants an answer. I want to get to the point where and I don't know, man. This is crazy. Because now in this article, which I never read in any other article, see, this is where it says in pajamas with no coat or proper shoes. Now you see right there with the with that being said, okay, where's this kid gonna go in a cold night? No proper clothing. Afraid of the dark, like it said. And here's another thing. Many clues likely lost or discard. Which, in my videos, I always say you should never, ever discard any evidence. Doesn't matter if it's just a piece of paper. I would never do it. I'd keep everything locked up in a friggin' file or case or whatever, wherever locker, wherever they put it. So the original missing poster said he'd had a verbal dispute with Dean before leaving the house. But this was false. Dean was at work that evening, and didn't return home until Taj was asleep. Now, in the original article that I read, and my videos date from 12 years back or further, that Dean and the mother were up drinking. And, while Dean was drinking, the mother was sleeping. She got up, had a beer with him, and I think he came in from outside and she got spooked. It wasn't saying that he got home from work. It said he just came in from outside. Oh yeah, that's what it was. She was drinking. She went to bed. Noticed Dean didn't get to bed. Got up to check on Dean. Dean came in from outside, spooked her, knocked the beer bottles over, and then, and I quote, she said, "You better go check Taj so he don't think something's going on out here." And I quote, and that's exactly, so they were drinking. Taj's mother went to bed. Noticed Dean hadn't got to bed yet. Got up to check Dean. Dean came in from outside once again. Spooked and knocked some beer bottles over. She told him to go check Dean. She went back to bed. Now, what kind of mother don't go check her own son when she knows there's a big dispute between her new husband, her son, and why didn't she go check to make sure Taj was all right? She went back to bed. So that was the original story I read. And in between that time, I think that she said that they were drinking around, say, 11 to midnight. She went to bed, got up around 1 or 2. Like I said, it was an hour and a half, close to 2 hours time that Clarence had to take Taj's body and dispose of it. So literally. All right. So that, with that being said, that was the original. Now it's saying that there was no dispute here. Taj got up and left work. Huh. So with that being said, if anybody knows this article, right, of course it is Detective Abishon, but I mean, why was the other one written out like that? And I do have that on video. I went over the article. So here it goes with Taj was asleep, having a drink with his wife before they went to bed, although at one point in the night, Long said Dean wasn't there. That was said, but that ain't how this was written out in the other article. This is why I do these videos right here. Because what I just said and what I read and I remembered, I got a photographic memory. This is all new. This is all different. Plus, there's some files that have been brought out that were never, brought out originally. And before returning to Maple Street on that fateful night, Narbonne sat at his grandparents' kitchen table in Fitchburg, stated as 2011 Sentinel Enterprise. Told him he was going home. Said grandfather Louis Narbonne. He said, with Dean there, no way. But he sent them on anyways. Thing is, it was rough. Still is, and I'll never forgive Dean or myself for letting him go back there, said Eunice Narbonne, who is now deceased. So, right, not to be rude, not to sound rude, I'm not bashing on any family members, but respectfully, why did they let this kid go back? He's already in foster care, which that I don't believe is in any other articles either. The original article states that he was at his grandparents' house. They said he had to go home. And right, what I said happened. Now there's a foster parent involved. I don't remember reading that in any of my articles. If you want to check out them videos, they're up as we speak. And like I said, this is why I do these videos. Now there's difference in the articles. And to me, it's like, wow. And even, what would even the foster parent be even thinking? If this kid's already in foster care, and for the Clarence Dean, and they go, oh, you're going to go back home and you're going to, well, they'll get all worked out. Who's the idiot? Who's the moron? Who's the dipstick? I'll tell you. I'm trying not to be rude, but if a foster parent has a child, that's their responsibility, and it was set into their care that they are to take 100% full responsibility to make that kid safe, That's what foster care is supposed to be, right? Even though foster care does not do that in some cases. Because some cases, there are some sick individuals, and there have been some, oh, geez, excuse me, foster care parents not too long ago killing kids. Yeah. And you know what? That's why I will call this foster parent an idiot. Because why? If you got this kid set to your care, and oh geez, you're gonna go back to Clarence. And now this is well over 40 frickin' years. I hope you live with yourself very well. Yeah, I hope you do. Not. Because I know if I took a foster kid in, which I wouldn't do that because, these kids have issues and you gotta have the right, placement. And I don't think I would ever be able to do that because the line that I draw with things and, it just wouldn't work. And I wouldn't put myself in that predicament to try and make it work because, don't get me wrong, I really, and I've met a lot of kids that were in foster care when I was younger, and I guess I could say I was grateful sometimes that I had myself and my parents still. I mean, they never lost me to the state or nothing, even though they got, separated, went their own ways. I was a troubled child, tried to run away my own self, but, it just didn't work. And I just had to put it to my mind that I need to, do the best I can and think I gotta make it right and work and not lose all of reality and get taken, because that would have been a big mistake for me, But some kids just can't think that way, and some reason I had some kind of head on my shoulders where I could just think and keep myself, just, oh man, it's hard to explain, but the physical evidence available tests with modern forensic methods involved parents. So I hope they did keep a lot of Clarence Dean's, because they also say that someone else could have been. I thought I read that. I tried to go visit Clarence Dean at Bridgewater, but they told me he wasn't there. But Aubuchon in this one says he's been there, in the past, but Clarence for some reason is incoherent and don't want to cooperate. Of course he wouldn't. I thought I read something, and I can't find it now, but there could have been other individuals involved, and the only one that could be really involved, Clarence Dean, I believe, had a brother. But there you go, trying to think. Yeah, there it is. Abducted by someone in the area. Babylon. And this is a new person. Bedoin. Which I don't think he was abducted by nobody but Clarence. That to me right there is rubbish. And that's the thing. One more thing, and then I'm gonna wrap this up. Someone may have seen or heard. Now that's the thing there. So, considering it being March, and it was supposedly raining, excuse me, I found that out because I looked it up in the Farmer's Almanac. But, windows were obviously closed at that time. I highly doubt anybody had any open windows to hear, let alone Taj's mother. Now, if there was a good possibility that, and there have been other claims that Clarence drove him to an old lumber yard, which was in Townsend, and buried him there. Now, this is another source I can't say, and I'm sure Detective Abishon knows it, but, I mean, with that being said, how wouldn't you hear cars starting up back in them times, especially older vehicles that do intend to need to be pumped in the gas? And, you know, we got to remember what we're dealing with here. Cars that used to rev up when you start them. Because, right, sometimes cars back then, like I said, you got to pump that gas. So, I mean, with that being said, that's why I think he brought him across the street. Because of the simple fact of, right, if there was a car involved, he had to bring him to another place, even down the end of Christine Street. I think he wouldn't be carrying a body over his shoulder. He still would have had to have gotten in the car and driven down to the end of Christine Street. Because, yes, there was not a house there at the time. And that still is a cul-de-sac dead end. So, whatever was on that street at that time, most definitely, right. I mean, sometimes you can hear cars drive by your house, but back then, I would assume cars, right, are louder. Or let alone, who knows what they were driving. And for someone to maybe hear it, or, you know, see the car lights shining in their windows. But the simple fact is that what and how, and I mean, looking at this article, heard something, didn't feel important, but sure, it could be a memory, could be make a difference. I mean, it's just the fact that this was in the middle of the friggin' night, so how are you gonna hear anything or see anything unless you were up? I mean, there is, like I said, the possibility of the car maybe being loud. You hear something idling down the road while you're sleeping. I mean, it could be a point. It could be someone did, but I know for a fact that area at the time, what I'm trying to get to is probably didn't have many residents. Two. So you have two places. The woods across the street would be more realistic, but the end of Christine could be still there. But yeah, that's the fact of him wanting to carry that body down that street in the middle of the night. He could have. I mean, he would have been doing it across the street in the Lincoln Woods area. So, I mean, there's a lot of things, theories, thoughts, ideas that individual could think of. But for the simple fact that, all this new stuff is coming up. I don't know. I just don't bite it. I'm not hooking on that. But I'm going to get out of here anyways. I just wanted to share this. It is interesting to see and hear some new stuff. But the simple fact is, where is Mr. Taj Narbonne? And if there was someone else that did this, how you ever gonna, and if that's the case, that to me is not realistic. Because I just can't wrap my head around someone else picking him up. Because that area of Union Street, Naples Street, Christine Street, and I'm sure it was back in the day, is a very quiet area. And I don't know, man. It just don't sound right to me, and I don't like that way. Clarence is the number one suspect to me and will always be. And, I'm not trying to point the finger, but this could have all been, avoided if this so-called step-parent would have done their job into keeping him and not letting them go back. I'm sorry, the grandparents gotta go home. Should have just kept them the night. Really? When kids are scared like that, I'm not trying to make guilt on anybody, but when kids are scared like that and there's something going down like that, man, you gotta make as an adult, as a friggin' elder, you gotta make that right decision. But until our next video, folks, be safe, take care, always beware. And once I get that time going, I'm going to take myself to them woods. I'm going to check out my own things. Because one thing. Yes, he left with pajamas, but could have Clarence thrown a pair of pants on him. And that belt is in his pants. Because I don't think Clarence would be that dumb to say, I'll take him out in his pajamas. But yet he left with no shoes. Or improper shoes. Whatever, maybe his slippers. Because, when you're doing this kind of thing, you're not thinking either. Oh, just take him out of here. Who cares? He ran away. Blah, blah, blah. Clarence saying, writing the note. Whatever. And if he did do it that way with the pajamas and shoes or slippers or whatever, that only goes to show that man really hated this kid. Didn't care if this kid had any clothes on. That only goes to prove the fact. Because if he hated that kid so much, why would he give a crap if he had any proper clothing on? Think about it. Think about it. Out.